Here. Trustee Malani. Here. Trustee Compass. Here. Trustee Bruggen. Here. And Trustee Radiszewski. Here. Mayor Pekau.
Here. And Trustee Bruggen, can you state your reason for being remote, just for the record? Okay, thank you. And can we turn that up just a touch so we can hear him? We can barely hear you, Brian. We're working on getting that turned up.
Okay, I'll get closer to the phone too.
And when you do have to, if you do have to leave, I understand you might have to leave either during or before the board meeting. Just let us know, please, that you're leaving.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the September 7th, 2021 Committee of the Whole minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Katsinas.
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Committee of the Whole of September 7th, 2021.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Casillas.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Reardon.
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski.
Aye.
Mayor Pekau.
Aye.
Dog therapy introduction. I think we just had one. Therapy dog. Therapy.
So if you'd like to come on up and introduce us to Leo.
Sure.
Here, I'm going to come down and say hi to Leo.
Thank you.
Make sure you got this on TV. My dog's going to be jealous.
So this is Leo, our new therapy dog. Leo came from Cocoa Beach, Florida, at the Bruggen County Sheriff's Office. He's 8-month-old full-bred black Labrador. We went through 4 months of therapy training, and then for 1 week, Rich got trained by the dog down there. He came back, as a matter of fact, last night about 8 o'clock. Today's going to be our pinning ceremony for our newest member of the Orland Park Police Department. The first, Rich, want to talk about some of the abilities of the dog?
The key abilities of the dog are his ability to basically bark and show love and compassion to those that have been victimized by crime. Also, for all the department members, for the police officers that respond in stressful situations, they'll have the ability to hang out with them for a while, you know? So he wants to play tug. He's a puppy, so he's going to do puppy things. That's the way people are talking. We're going to continue our training here for the next couple of weeks. And but he's going to get caught. Seems to be the common thing, everybody wants him to get caught.
One of the capabilities, he can provide some beater for people when doing courtroom testimony. So the courts allow a therapy dog to stand there and lower the anxiety when they testify, especially children in abuse cases, which is one of the primary reasons why we have a dog here today. So I'm back to the Orland Park Police Department. Leo, you want to tell me today?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
He's our training.
He was top of his class, as a matter of fact, Leo was. So.
Yeah, so he's 8 months old, and the dogs that he trained were typically 3 and 4-year-old dogs.
So congratulations, welcome to the family. Go, buddy.
Thank you, everyone.
Another great program from our police department, which we all appreciate. Now Maverick's got a play buddy now.
Semi-annual police department activity update.
Evening, Mayor, members of the village board here. I'm here to report on our semi-annual report of where we're at regarding the village, regarding crime statistics analysis. So this is our violent crime. We are 28% less than we were this time last year. So that's quite remarkable. Again, a lot of them were driven by aggravated assault and batteries, which were attacks on my law enforcement officers, as well as domestic batteries. They are down substantially.
Chief, can you hold on just 1 second? Do we have a problem with
Trying to get the innkeeper up a little bit for them.
Oh, okay, can we get this? I just want to make sure the slides are part of the
Absolutely.
presentation, that's all. Sorry to interrupt you.
No worries.
All right.
So we're at 28% decrease for the same time period as for 2020 and 2021, largely driven by the aggravated assault and batteries. We've had 4 less. This time last year, we had a substantial increase in attacks on my officers as well as in domestic-related issues. Property crimes. We're down substantially in property crimes driven mostly by thefts. Motor vehicle thefts are slightly up, slightly down compared to last year. Our burglaries are slightly up, and no arsons. So property crime is something that we highly substantial here in Orland Park, driven by 12 million square feet of retail property, and we're down substantially. And let me say something about that. Last year, this time, we had 74 days where the mall and every store in Orland Park was closed. And yet we're still showing a decrease. And why is that? So overall, we're 17% down in crime versus the same time period last year. So the reason why is the Orland Square Mall proactive measures, undercover operations were taking place there at the mall. We have a strong relationship with the loss prevention staff there. We communicate on a regular basis, providing them information about trends and certain people that we're looking for. Some Properties Use Supervision Program has been extremely impactful in driving down property crime in Orland Park. Now, we devote a substantial amount of resources to this program. Thank you, Mayor, for being the trailblazer on that. Thank you, Village Manager, for assisting us with getting this thing done. It has been substantially impactful. Over 5,000 people have been denied entry into the mall during the curfew hours, being juveniles. Juveniles were our #1 reason why we're having problems at the mall, either at the food court or retail theft-related issues. 0 juvenile retail thefts or code of conduct violations resulting in a local ordinance ticket or a criminal arrest occurred during that time period. And this has began since March. It has lowered our call volume to the mall substantially, and hopefully it's addressing this ridiculous perception the mall is not safe. We are the safest mall in the Chicagoland area. Let me repeat myself. We are the safest mall in the Chicagoland area. We got the data to prove it. And the youth supervision program adds to that impact. So we did have 1 retail theft during that time period of curfew, and that was an adult. Nothing we can control about that. So retail theft analysis. This is where it's been impactful for us. Every year for the last 26 years, Friday nights were our busiest night for retail thefts. Since this youth supervision program has been initiated and implemented, Wednesday nights are now our busiest night for retail thefts, which is substantially different than years gone by. So we're addressing that with additional resource allocation to address those concerns. And those are not taking place generally at the mall. Call for service Tuesdays, again, continue to be our hottest and busiest day in Orland Park. A lot of calls coming into the station complaints, things that occurred over the weekend, and Mondays apparently they weren't able to get into the PD. So Tuesdays, again, continue to be the day that we've seen the most call volume.
Criminals look like they want to take the weekend off.
I'm hoping they take every day off here in Orland Park, to be quite frank with you. Mental health calls. Some bad news, some good news. The bad news were 38% increased number of mental health calls. 1 in 5 people in the U.S. have some form of mental illness, according to NAMI. Over 49 million people suffer some form of mental illness in America, okay? Why a 39% increase? Some of it has to do with this. We're doing some social media. We're doing some discussions. We're doing meetings with people. Groups. We're out there as a community letting people know that if you have a mental illness, that's okay. That's okay. We're trying to reduce that stigma. If you need help, we're here to help you. And that Trinity collaboration agreement that we have with them through the federal grant has been extremely beneficial for the citizens of Orland Park and people who come to Orland Park, because approximately 30% of the calls we get dealing with mental illness are non-residents. The good news is a 12% decrease in psychiatric committals. Before, we would send our officer to the scene and then have to go to the hospital. And that would take about 4 to 5 hours of downtime for an officer. That's a lot of obligated time for an officer not being in his beat, being proactive and addressing other concerns. So this has been a reduction with that. Furthermore, we have Trinity that's going to the hospital, and we do have to commit somebody for a psychiatric evaluation. So we have a mental health provider talking the same language as the psychiatrists at the hospital, which is extremely beneficial. So now they understand truly what's going on here with these people. But here's some bad news. Our weapon offenses are up. We're averaging 1 firearm seized every 5 days now in Orland Park. On the street, 1 every 5 days. These are the arrests, 39 arrests in 2021. 80% of the offenders were previously arrested. They spent some time in Cook County Jail or in some lockup somewhere. They're continuing to be released. And then coming into Orland Park with a firearm. 18 aggravated unlawful use of weapons. And these are not just your standard everyday weapons. These are high caliber weapons with a lot of ammunition. 3 unlawful weapons by felon. A felon with a weapon. 3 of them. Class X felonies. 6 unlawful use of weapon charges. 1 concealed carry license violation, only 1. And that person was a DUI who had his weapon inside his car. Generally, the public who has a CCL, we have no concerns with. It's the offenders that do not have that CCL who are out here armed, who've had a prior criminal arrest. That's where our threat is. And unfortunately, we've had 2 ghost guns seized. What are those? Those are guns that are manufactured either through 3D printers or of some other form. They're non-traceable. Non-traceable. So here's some of the gun arrests that we've had this year. High capacity drums here, 50 rounds in that. That over there was a ghost gun. That's another 50 round capacity there. A lot of these are Glocks. And with them come money and come drugs. So that's what we're counting here in Orland Park, approximately every 5 days. Any questions?
Chief, one of the things you didn't talk about was all of the things that we do for our schools. So could you expand on some of the things and programs we've done for schools?
Certainly. We do a DARE program there. We have a school resource officer. We also do a walk and talk where our officers walk in every school every day. We also do traffic control. We are there with our investigators. We provide additional training on active shooter, lockdown drills. We've built an excellent rapport with District 135 and 230. As a matter of fact, I spoke to the superintendent at 230 today on some issues. So we are there for our schools constantly. And again, we have people dedicated to those schools, from DARE officers to a school resource officer that works there full-time at Carl Sandburg High School.
And one of the things that I know we've heard about, and I know, but I think the public should know, so bus companies have had a shortage of drivers, so there's more parents dropping kids off, there's more kids driving into school. So what have we done to help the schools with that? So
we rerouted a drop-off over at High Point Orland Junior High to get those kids and the parents off the street of West Avenue. We put them in the John Humphrey complex to relieve some of that pressure over there. We also provided some additional staff over at Carl Sandburg High School to address the concerns over there. Last year we learned some of these children were being dropped off right on LaGrange Road, and they were running across six lanes of traffic to school. So we addressed that through additional CSOs as well as crossing guards to help them cross at 133rd Street over to by Southmore, and some parents have picked their children up by Aldi or Chase Bank, which is completely legal, and it relieves some of the pressure off of LaGrange Road and 131st Street.
Are there any comments from the board?
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Healy.
Chief, the statistics were great. I'm glad to see it. It's a great reflection on the community. How about the rest of the southwest suburbs? Do we have any, I mean, are there crime? Or I don't know if you'd have access to that.
I can only speak for Orland Park. I'll tell you that one thing, and I'm firm about this. If you commit a crime in Orland Park, we're going to find you, we're going to arrest you. We're going to do everything we can. And because of the support of the village board here, time and time again, we have the tools to do that.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Okay. So I'm going to have a few comments to make regarding our police department here. But before I talk about what a great job that they do, I want to comment on the ineptitude of the state's attorney, Kim Foxx. In 2020, and so far in 2021, there have been over 100 children, 20 years and under, shot and killed in the city of Chicago. In the city of Chicago alone, not all of Cook County. To put this in perspective for something that we hear a lot about, in the same time period, there have been 25 children, 20 and under, die with COVID and other comorbidities in the entire state. 100 kids. It's high time that Kim Foxx and others keep our kids safe from this violence. However, what we hear from her repeatedly, from Kim Foxx and others on this topic, is that we need more gun laws. This is garbage. What we need is for you to enforce the laws that are on the books. And as we've shown, Kim Foxx seems to be confused because she doesn't, a lot of these offenders are out again and again and again. She ran for the state's attorney. That is a prosecutor. She's not a public defender. She needs to stop behaving like one, and she needs to start acting like a prosecutor. Our police department has proactively taken guns off the street, and as you saw, 39 arrests for gun charges. Of all these gun charges, one was a licensed gun owner, and that was because he had a DUI, is why he got it. So it was a very minor offense on the gun side of things, big on the DUI. With all these serious violations in existing gun laws, 80% were prior criminals, like I said. They're being released, as we saw in earlier reports, for bonds that average less than $5,000. Some are being released on their own recognizance. That's unacceptable. Now, let's look at the legislature. What have they done? We got HB 3653, which eliminates cash bail and tried to turn our officers into criminals. The bill also made it illegal, get this, illegal for them to access their body cameras when writing reports. Why would anyone want police reports to be inaccurate? I'll tell you why. So that officers can be impeached in criminal proceedings and criminals can go free, as well as to cast doubt on those officers' testimony in future cases. Our residents need to remember those representatives who are anti-police and pro-criminal in the 2022 elections. We have several that represent Orland Park that voted for this abomination of a bill. In spite of the lack of support from the state's attorney's office and attacks on our police officers from the state legislature, the Village of Orland Park Police Department continues to do a fantastic job. Our index crimes were the lowest in 25 years in 2019 and reduced another 20% in 2020. Cynics said that crime wasn't really down, and this was because of COVID closures of the 74 days the chief mentioned. Well, here we are in 2021, everything's open, and crime is down another 17%. In violent crime, already the lowest per capita for towns over 50,000 people, is down 28%. This is because our police department is proactive, and I want to thank you, Chief. I also want to thank Orland Square Mall for working with us to put the youth supervision policy in place. This is something that our police chiefs and I have been working on since 2019, and we are very happy that we finally came up with a workable solution, and I think the results you saw. Thefts at the mall are down over 20% thanks to this program. I also want to congratulate the department on the success of the mobile response unit, which has driven committals down by 12% like you saw, even with mental health calls being up 38%. So it's really driven down the amount of time our officers have to spend on these committals. And this has resulted in rolling that program out to neighboring communities even sooner than we planned because of the amazing results. There are 4 reasons I'm going to highlight for this outstanding performance from our police department, in my opinion. First and foremost, it begins with a team effort that starts with outstanding officers and leadership, including the police chief and his command staff. This team also includes our village board and all of the boards that came before us that have made public safety a priority. So I want to thank the boards that came before us on this as well. It also includes the village manager and his office, so I want to thank you. Additionally, our public information office provides significant support, so thank you, Nabia. Lastly, when we add to the team, our police department places high emphasis on hiring the highest quality people that meet Orland Park standards. Second, something that is often overlooked and or talked about in passing, and the chief mentioned it, our clearance rates. We catch criminals when they commit crimes. This isn't an accident. We devote resources to this and make sure this happens. Our officers effectively do their job, and we also are creative and willing to try new approaches like Wanted Wednesdays. Third is the use of our data to track results of programs that are implemented and track where issues are emerging. We try a lot of different things. Some work, some don't, but you never know if they do or don't if you don't track them. The use of this data allows us to put proactive programs in place, which is the final reason for our success. The youth supervision policy is a prime example of a proactive program. Another was our proactive and aggressive response to the looting and rioting that took place at the end of May and beginning of June throughout the Chicagoland area. This approach kept Orland Park safe throughout. It is also our proactive approach that has resulted in dozens of illegal guns being taken off the streets. I can only imagine the results we could have if the state's attorney actually put criminals behind bars where they belong. Chief, on behalf of myself, my family, and the residents of Orland Park, I want to thank you, your leadership, your officers, your support staff, and the entire department for all you do to keep us safe, and you set the gold standard for community policing that is an example for the entire country to follow. So thank you. And welcome, Leo.
Parks Master Plan updates.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. So back in May, the village awarded a contract to White & Company to master plan the development of 4 of our parks to master plan those parks. That will serve as a blueprint for these parks for the future. That includes Centennial Park, Centennial Park West, Schuessler Park, and the 3rd phase of John Humphrey Complex. Critical to the planning of this master plan process is engagement from the community. So that includes the residents, our athletic organizations that use our facilities and fields, and of course village staff and board members. Thus far, we have hosted a number of engagement sessions. This started in July with the master plan team in July 12th. On August 12th, we met with Boys OIA, Girls OIA, the Orland Park Soccer Club, Girls Sparks, and Chicago Fire to get engagement from them or input from them. On August 24th, we met with our Recreation Advisory Board, who also provided input to White & Company. On August 30th, we held an in-person community engagement session. So we reached out to over 1,000 people that live close to these 4 parks, as well as sent an email to over 7,000 residents and publicized this on social media and on our website. On September 1st, we did the same with a Zoom community session. In addition to that, we are conducting a statistically random survey with residents. That survey went out last week. The same survey will be made available in general to all residents beginning sometime this week. The future steps of the master plan and the schedule are summarized here. So in September through October, White & Company will present survey results and the community meeting summary to the Committee of the Whole. That should happen in October here. They then will finalize a design program with the master plan team before moving forward with concepts. You can see in October through January, they will begin the design process of 3 concepts, 1 for each park. They will then review that with the master plan team. We will again invite residents to participate athletic organizations, the Recreation Advisory Board. Based on that input, we'll refine those concepts again, or White & Company will refine those concepts and then represent those to the master plan team. They will then again make some minor adjustments before presenting that to the board. Some of the things you can see here from the engagement sessions, so there's one of these for each of the parks. I won't go through all of it, but some of the highlights. So turf fields was a big one that was presented by from the community and everyone that was participated. Improvements to the marina. We do some things out in the lake. They'd like to see some improvement there. In Centennial Park, the north parcel is undeveloped, so some development there. Potentially adding some courts in Centennial Park. Those could be lighted courts, could be pickleball and or tennis. Some additional lake amenities you can see there, paddleboard. The soccer fields are well used, so we never have enough soccer fields, and the gold mouths take quite a beating. So flexible and lighted soccer fields, not all the fields are lighted, would be a nice addition there. Some of the other ones you can see there on the right, some additional ideas and amenities. This is Centennial Park West. Sorry for that bleed off the page. So that is where we're currently holding the Centennial Park West concert series. So adding a permanent stage, more restrooms, some suggestions to hold graduations out there, to hold all village special events there in the future potentially. So Taste of Orland Park, concerts in the park, some of those kinds of things out there. It is a hilly site, so there was some input on sledding hills, access to the pond out there through fishing piers, some permanent shade structures with picnic shelters, cross-country skiing, and even a playground. There is a playground close by there, but just something for kids to do close to the event venue. Schussler Park, again, we heard a lot about lighted turf fields, so that could be soccer, football, lacrosse, probably multi-purpose type of fields. Full-size baseball field, which would attract older age groups, potentially scouting groups. An ADA accessible baseball field. So that had been talked about some time ago, and so that's still part of the plan. Each group that we met with actually had brought that forward as a priority. An ADA accessible playground and park, again, we have one at Kevin Hurst Park at Centennial Park. This could be a larger, more improved, fully accessed playground park. Over on the right side, you can see paths and playgrounds also ADA fully accessible. The sledding hill is pretty popular there, so continuing to find a way to use that sledding hill to take advantage of the pond there. We know we have flooding problems in that park, so improvements with the stormwater management. Again, an opportunity for courts over there. We have a couple tennis courts that are a bit defunct because of the water challenges in that area. Some shade, potential skate park or pickleball courts, and then again some additional amenities listed on the right side there. At John Humphrey Complex, we've already completed two phases of improvement there. So a third phase could potentially include playground, which would give children something to do when their siblings are playing in games. Some new lighting. The lighting in that park is dated and really needs improvement, and some fields aren't lighted. The Irwin building really doesn't serve any purpose right now. Some additional ideas: a splash pad, some native gardens, potentially some cross-country courses, batting cages for pregame warm-up. So that came up actually with Centennial Park and John Humphrey Complex for teams as they're preparing for a game to be able to do warm-ups. The ADA accessible playground or baseball field also came up for this park as well, so that was highlighted here. High Point Fields, we utilize the High Point Fields pretty regularly, so developing those fields and fencing them, potentially adding lights is a possibility that was discussed. Some more garden type of amenities, shade structures, and again, a potential of pickleball courts in that facility as well.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? I have a couple questions for you, Ray. So this kind of regards John Humphrey a little bit, but others as well, because it's come up recently. Do we have an agreement to maintain the parks at District 135 in exchange for programming them and using them?
We do. We maintain all their parks.
And that's a 5-year agreement, and it's been in place for decades, though, correct?
It has been in place for decades. I don't know the current term.
Yeah, the contract was recently renewed in April of 2020 for a 5-year term.
Okay, great. It's been in place for as long as anyone can remember, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I just want to make sure that I want to get this correct as well. We did offer, as I recall, we offered to upgrade and basically do phase 3 of the John Humphrey already, all of the ball fields, which are all, and phase 3 is all on District 135 property. But what we asked in exchange for that was a long-term agreement, was a longer agreement, correct?
That would be correct.
Because we don't want to spend, it was about $1 million, is that correct?
It is.
So we don't want to spend $1 million and just have 5-year renewals. We wanted to ensure that, how long? 20, was it 20 that we had?
We originally sought 20 years and later offered 15, but then we came into a time crunch to get the fields prepped for the spring. So.
Okay, and we don't just do John Humphrey, we also maintain the fields at Centennial and Gerling and Liberty and Prairie and all those other schools, correct?
There's 6 other places we do those for.
So we maintain all the fields for them and
we maintain
program them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great use, it's a great intergovernmental cooperation, and it's great use for our residents. Okay.
And we would like to expand, sorry to interrupt,
Right.
we would like to expand over at High Point, but it is dependent on the intergovernmental agreement being long-term.
Yeah, so we were going to fix District 135 fields, which their students could enjoy at a cost of about $1 million, which obviously all the residents could enjoy too, in exchange for the maintenance agreement that the village and District 135 have had in place for decades, just solidifying that for decades. Correct? All right. So, we get to use the fields when the schools aren't using them because they still have priority, correct? And we are responsible for programming them, and in exchange we maintain and include, it includes trash pickup and mowing and field preparation, all that stuff, right?
All of that.
Lining, all
everything.
I just want to make sure.
We also do some minor repairs at the fields. They can't always get to them, and because we do use them frequently, we do some minor repairs. Okay.
Because I think about that and all the other resources the village expends in the partnership with the schools. We heard of everything that we do, that our police department does, and while there's nothing that compels us to do so, we also collect a lot of fees for District 135 in the schools, correct? correct? Impact fees? Correct. Okay. So these are all, these exchanges and cooperation is all good for all the students of Orland Park and all the residents of Orland Park, and it's good government. I honestly, because this, it's happened over the last couple of years, I really don't understand District 135's position on this, particularly at a time when budget shortfalls were so high. I mean, they've attempted to cut honors programs, they've attempted to cut band programs and other extracurricular activities, and we know that they're facing a crap load of busing issues, which we heard about earlier, which we've tried to help them solve. So it seems like intergovernmental cooperation with the village would be in the best interest of them and the families and children of Orland Park. I don't really understand it, but they must have some reason that I'm not aware of. However, because of that, at this point, I do think that the John Humphrey Fields on District 135 should be our last priority when we plan these out. Because if the district doesn't want to cooperate with us, there's no point in planning to put our money in that first. Right? Well, it was a priority to get it done in the past, so I think we're going to have to slide that back at this point unless something changes, because they don't appear to be interested in that longer-term agreement. I also really want to take the time to point out a few things that I think are big priorities in this that we should make sure are up near the front of our plans for our phasing and reconstruction. A few years ago, a young man named Zach Stack brought an idea for an all-abilities baseball field and tried to raise enough money to build it, and you saw that those came up a lot today. We know the fundraising fell well short of what was needed, in spite of a lot of effort from Zach and others, and they're to be commended for that effort. What is important is that the idea itself did not fall short, so I want to thank Zach for bringing that to us. I know that in our discussions we've prioritized putting an all-abilities field at either John Humphrey Complex or in the open space by West Avenue or Schuessler Park or at Centennial. At whatever location we choose, we should also put that all-abilities playground in as well. The all-abilities field, like I said, was a great idea, and we will prioritize its inclusion as well as the all-abilities playground in our master plan. It would be a great addition to our special recreation program, which is by far the largest and best in the region. Additionally, I want to ensure that we have an area that is being designed for football first. It is inconceivable to me that when Centennial Park was built, football was not considered at all back in early 1990s. I think everyone here knows that it makes little sense to tear up baseball fields for football activities. I think if Bo was here, he would tell you that baseball fields are built very differently than turf fields, and I know that Ray's nodding his head. So turf field sports like lacrosse, soccer, and football can handle a lot more wear and tear than a baseball field can. So for that reason, we need to make sure that we design an area for football first that can also be used for soccer and lacrosse when football is not in season. As you pointed out, we can always use more soccer fields, so that will just help us. And that doesn't mean to trade out soccer fields for that. That means an additional field. Since District 230 in Sandburg has allowed the Pioneers to use its fields for games, these should be built with practice in mind first, and only as a backup for games if needed in the case where there's a scheduling conflict at Sandburg. This ensures that football has a place of its own designed around its use, as opposed to it being a secondary use always shoehorned into something. And then those fields will have a secondary use for something else. Okay. Another priority is Centennial Park West and building some permanency at that location, including a stage and electricity. This park was designed, and I quote here, to be Ravinia South. We've spent millions of dollars building Centennial Park West in the mid-2000s. It's high time we actually put it to use. Once we put in permanent features, we can host more events there more regularly and eliminate the very high costs associated with renting the stage, the fencing, etc. I see Ray nodding his head again.
A lot of costs there.
And the final priority I want to talk about is the field complex that we have been contemplating for a few years. This may not be, or this may be able to fit in the area that's undeveloped next to Centennial Park, over there between Centennial Park and the the Northwestern Palos Health Facility. Based on the study, it appeared that a complex with 8 full-size turf high school baseball fields would be the best option economically. Full-size and turf, because then they can also be used for soccer and lacrosse. So this would provide 8 additional soccer fields, which, as you pointed out, we sorely need. Plus, they'd be turf, so they can be used even in inclement weather or when the weather's, when it's rainy. And our residents can use these fields during the week, but they'll be highly sought after for tournament fields for baseball and soccer and lacrosse on weekends. These tournaments bring in restaurant goers, shoppers, and hotel stays, and that's huge for our local economy. It's huge for our businesses. However, if and when we build this, we do need to make sure that the economics work, because that will be a fairly expensive endeavor. But we have bare land to work with. We've already studied it. We know that it can work, so we should be looking at that. All of these major parks have had very little done to them since the early 90s or before. The first phase was the rebuilding of John Humphrey Field Complex, phases 1 and 2 of that complex, which looked great. We were able to complete this project while still taking $40 million of debt off the books over the last 4 years. We also restructured the debt, so thank you to the finance team for that, which saves us money going forward. Lastly, thanks to hard work from staff and the village board, we've had a 14% reduction in our operating costs over the same time period. So basically, this fiscal responsibility has put us in position to make these much-needed investments in our infrastructure. We've done a lot on our roads. Now we can include parks as part of these projects. Personally, I can't wait to see the master plan and start phase 1, whatever that phase happens to be, of the construction projects as soon as possible. So thanks for all the hard work. I appreciate it. Are there any non-scheduled visitors? Anyone here to speak? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Compass?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky?
Aye.
Mayor Pekau?
Aye. I'll see everyone in 20 minutes. Meeting adjourned. If I could, just really quickly, I want to introduce 2 key members, new members of our staff. Steve Marciani. Steve, if you could stand up. He is our new Assistant Development Services Director. Steve comes to us with decades of experience in Skokie, and he's got his degrees from the University of Illinois. He got his undergrad and his master's degrees there as well. So we're very excited to have Steve on our team. Welcome aboard. Welcome, Steve. Next person is our new Assistant HR Director, Patrick Canna. Pat, if you could stand up. So Pat got he earned his undergraduate degree from Notre Dame and his JD from the University of Georgia. He's a licensed attorney and with experience in collective bargaining. He also does some work for Moraine Valley. So we're very excited to have Pat on our team as well. And a lifelong Orland Park resident as well. Yep. That's it. All right, we'll see everybody in 20.
Trustee Healy.
Here.
Trustee Katsinas.
Here.
Trustee Malani.
Here.
Trustee Compass. Here. Trustee Reardon. Trustee Radiszewski.
Here.
Mayor Pekau.
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the September 7th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Katsinas.
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustee meeting of September 7th, 2021.
Second.
Any changes? Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Mayor Pekau.
Aye. Yeah.
Proclamation honoring Van Bruggen signs as Orland Park Business of the Month for September 2021.
It's my pleasure to proclaim this month and honor Van Bruggen signs as Orland Park Business of the Month. Whereas Orland Park's Van Bruggen signs, I'm going to read what's on their proclamation. Whereas Orland Park's Van Bruggen signs first opened in 1925 by Sam Van Bruggen, and whereas Van Bruggen signs produces illuminated, non-illuminated, architectural and environmental, commercial, dimensional, wood and aluminum signs, as well as vehicle lettering and graphics. The work done at Van Bruggen signs is extensive and diverse, starting with the phone call from the client, designing of the project, manufacturing all the parts, and installation by hand of the finished product. And whereas Sam opened his first shop in Evergreen Park, he moved his company to Palos Heights in the 1950s, and his son Jack settled the company in Orland Park in 1976. And whereas Van Bruggen Signs made Orland Park their home in 1976 and services our community with combined 800 years of sign designing, production, and installation experience currently on the shop floor, and whereas Van Bruggen Signs has been family owned and operated through 4 generations, whereas Sam's son Jack Van Bruggen took over the business, the next generation of owners are Sam, Bill, and Joel. To this day, the 3 grandsons own and operate the business. And whereas Van Bruggen Signs' family operation does not end there, the current owner's sons and daughters work with their parents, and it is said that the grandchildren also feel very at home in the shop. And whereas Van Bruggen Signs currently has 25 employees, whom the owners consider family. They frequently have Saturday barbecues together, always making sure their retired employees are also invited. And whereas Sam Van Bruggen, the original owner, instilled in his son Jack and Jack's sons, Sam, Bill, and Joel, the belief in a company foundation based on ethics, quality, and the desire to treat your fellow man in a kind and fair manner, whether it be clients, employees, or family. And now, therefore, I, Keith Pekau, the village president of the Village of Orland Park, Illinois, in the counties of Cook and Will, do hereby extend the gratitude of the entire community to Van Bruggen Signs for more than 45 years of serving the community, and hereby proclaim Monday, September 20th, 2021, as Van Bruggen Signs Day in the Village of Orland Park. Congratulations.
I'll just say a few words. As Keith said, that we've been here since 1976, and we've enjoyed being in Orland Park for that time. And we really appreciate the logic that has been applied, especially this last year and a half. Supporting the police department and first responders. So, thank you. Good job.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Congratulations.
payable approval.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
I move to approve the accounts payable from September 8th, 2021 through September 19th, 2021 in the amount of $4,336,813.09.
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky.
Aye.
Mayor Pekau.
Aye.
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda, item A, payroll approval. Item B, Silver Lake West Water Main Replacement Phase 2 and El Camino Real Engineering Proposal. Item C, Camino Real Stormwater Improvements Engineering. Item D, tree plantings at parks, facilities, ponds, and parkways, fall of 2021. Item E, Safe Built Contract Amendment 1, Office Support Supervisor. Item F, Ray Graham Association Consulting Agreement.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
move to approve items A through F of the consent agenda. Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky.
Aye.
Mayor Pekau.
Aye.
Police Department Security Camera Network Cabling Approval to waive bids.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Compass.
I move to waive bids on the Police Department Security Camera Network Cabling Project and approve a contract with Advanced Data Technologies for an amount not to exceed $34,802.62, subject to village attorney review, and to authorize the village manager to execute all related contracts subject to village attorney review.
Second.
And before we comment on this, George, I just want to confirm, we're waiving the bid because this particular company is already networking the rest of the village, so we're getting a very good price to add on to that contract, correct?
that's exactly it.
Okay. Any other comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky.
Aye.
Mayor Pekau.
Aye.
Fernway 2022 Phase 7, 8, and 9 Design Engineering Proposal.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
I move to accept the proposal from V3 Companies of Woodridge, Illinois, titled 2022 Fernway Road and Ditch Reconstruction Project, dated September 10th, 2021, in an amount not to exceed $149,780, and to authorize the village manager to execute all related contracts subject to village attorney review.
Second.
Any questions or comments? So my comments on this was a 9-year, 9-phase project, and we've gone through 6 of them. And now that we have an entirely new board, we're able to, and all of the things that we've done in the last 4 years by taking debt off the books, by improving our other infrastructure, by getting ahead on our other infrastructure, by taking operating costs out of the budget, has allowed us to push this forward. I think 6 years is long enough for Fernway to be dealing with construction somewhere in their subdivision. So what we've decided to do is roll all this into 1 year and finish it. Is that pretty much it? So we're getting the next 3 years done in 1 year so that Fernway can be done with this. I think 6 years is long enough, and it'll be 7, but we're going to get this done. So we're in a fiscal position where we can do that, so I think that's the right thing to do. Call the roll.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky.
Aye.
Mayor Pekau.
Aye.
Consideration and action on an ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $6,500,000 general obligation refunding bonds for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of said village, providing for the levy and collection of taxes to pay said bonds, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection with the issue of said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Compass.
I move to approve an ordinance provided for the issuance of not to exceed $6,500,000 general obligation refunding bonds of the Village of Orland Park, Cook, and Will Counties, Illinois, for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of said village, providing for the levy and collection of the direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest of said bonds, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection with the issue of said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof.
Second.
George, could you give us a quick summary?
So previously, on July 19th, the village board approved a parameters ordinance for these bonds. Since that time, the purpose of the refunding has changed from short-term savings to debt restructuring. With this in mind, what we're doing tonight is just setting the new parameters ordinance so that we can take these bonds out to sale. We have with us Bob Lewis, who is the village's financial advisor, and he helped us with Kevin's assistance to restructure these bonds.
Any comments? Call the roll.
I just had it. Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Compass?
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Mayor Pekau?
Aye.
There is one non-scheduled citizen and visitor.
Arnold Gackey, and a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Good evening. I passed and handed out some stuff to the mayor to pass out to the trustees.
I will pass that out later.
Okay. Well, you can go to executive session and maybe look it over, come out, let me know what your decision was.
We will not be doing that. It's not on the
Okay.
agenda. So
Well,
we can't
maybe,
discuss things that aren't on the agenda.
Maybe your village manager can contact me and let me know what happened, or if I can talk to him, have a meeting with him. Okay. I'm here to petition you, complain to you, explain to you, inform you about the concerns of Maury Creek Boulevard. Now, I've gave the mayor a brochure of the condition of the boulevard. It's not in very good condition. The background of it was supposed to have been watered by the developer for the trees and the grass and the boulevard and parkways. He was using water from the ponds. The village wanted him to use water from the village and pay for it. He didn't do it. So somehow or the other, he cut it off. The trees and the grass went through tradition, let's put it that way. They didn't function very well. I have talked to the board about this for 20 years. What happened was the village wanted the distinctive homes, the condos, the townhouses to take over and water the parkways, the boulevard, and that didn't happen because it wasn't in their covenants. So what happened was the village took over the parkway. You own it. You watered it, and you stopped watering it. Now, Frank Steck was a recreations manager. He ended up redoing the parkway, put the sprinklers in, redid them, put them new, watered them again. You can see it in the brochure I gave the mayor. You can look at it. And what happened was it was cut off again. So the grass died, the trees suffered. They don't look very good. I'll put my money where my mouth is. Every one of you trustees come out to that boulevard and look at it. If you would live there in the condition it is and enjoy it, I'll put up $500 to the general fund of the village. If you vote yes, you would like to live there under those conditions. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. You understand that now, all right?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. There was 10 trees cut down. You replace them with 6. 7 sticks were put up for 7 trees. Only 6 were put up. This spring, on the other side of the Maury Creek Boulevard, there was 13 trees there. You cut down all 13. You planted 8. That's 23 trees cut down, 14 put back up. I hope you respect my intentions of being here, and may the trees be with you. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So I can't speak to what's happened 20 years ago. I can speak to the trees. That's a pretty easy one because I'm familiar with that one. What was planted along that boulevard were 72, I believe, 72 crabapple trees, all of the same variety, and all crabapple trees. And any arborist like myself would tell you that's a bad idea, is to plant all of the same trees right next to one another because of the lack of diversity. If you get a disease, it's going to run through all of the trees. And the crabapple trees have apple scab. And apple scab, while it doesn't typically kill the trees, it causes them to defoliate in June and July, which obviously makes them look very, very bad. And the amount of chemical that would have to be sprayed on them to maintain them just isn't really feasible for an area that big, as particularly a parkway area. So the village has been removing those trees annually, a portion of them, so that we're not budgeting them all in one year. And also, in case the weather is really bad and causes a problem with what we replant, it doesn't hit all those trees in one year as well. We were replacing them with less trees because crab apples have about a 15 to 20 foot canopy, whereas the trees that are replacing will have a much larger canopy, so they have to be spaced out more. So that's why that is. As those trees grow, they will grow over the parkway like most parkway trees do, and they'll be limbed up to 14 feet, so they're not an issue for anything. One of the reasons why we do parkway trees is one of the major reasons that we do that is it calms traffic, believe it or not. People drive slower when there's trees hanging over the street. So that's why we do it. Another reason that we do it is obviously stormwater runoff and also all the other environmental benefits of trees. So again, I want to thank you for your comments, and now we'll go into board comments.
Board comments.
Just a moment. Could I rebuttal?
No, this is not a debate. The board floor is for us to discuss, and you have an opportunity to make your comments. And
okay. I understand. I just thought maybe I had a chance for a rebuttal. Thank you very much.
I'll let you go first again, Trustee Radoszewski.
Oh boy, okay. I don't know, my notes are in front of me.
You were so eager last week, I figured I'd give you another shot at it.
Well, thank you. I am eager. I wanted to remind everybody that we have a brand new website. The team worked really hard. Thank you, Nevaeh. It looks great. So I've kind of been poking around and on the site and taking a look. And there's a lot of updated content and information in there. So it's a great resource. Obviously, you can pay your bills, but you can see upcoming events. For businesses, if you want to look at what RFPs are requesting, the bids that are open, you can find that there. Also regarding our social media, we have YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can sign up and see what's happening in the village. For instance, flu shot tomorrow at 2 p.m. at OSCO. There's a comedy improv at the Cultural Center on September 24th at 8 p.m. The museum event, 1865, is at Stellwagen Farms on September 25th at 11. The mayor's golf outing on September 27th. Great pumpkin party at Centennial Park at 10 a.m. You can dress up your pet. I love that. In their costumes. So a lot of great information in there. And I also wanted to say thank you to Officer Miller for his time and going down and getting Leo, and for congratulating him to get his certificate, and also to say welcome to Leo. And that's it.
Trustee Katsinas.
Really going out of order here, throwing us for a loop. First of all,
toes.
There you go. Wanted to say thank you for everyone who came to Brewfest. It was a wonderful event. We have a lot of brewmasters within our employees that know an awful lot about beer now. And thank you to Public Works. That Public Works building was shiny clean. So thank you, Joel, and your staff. Thank you to those that participated. On a sad note, one of our longtime village employees, William Bill Dowman, has passed away. He was a long-term Orland Park guy. I recognized him right away. So I know he had many friends in the village and outside of the village. So we send our condolences to his numerous friends and his family. Thank you.
Trustee Malani.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Just a couple quick things. Thanks again for everybody who worked at the Brewfest this weekend and made it successful. We can't do it without our staff, and that was a pretty big place to fill, and you guys did a great job, so thank you. Coming up on October 2nd, we have our Great Pumpkin Party. Remember that, it's over by the lake. It's great for the kids, lots of fun and activities for the family, so hope you come out and attend that. And welcome to our 3 new staff members, including Leo, the dog. We'll be happy to have him around the village here. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you and have a good night.
Trustee Campos.
So it's a little bit of role reversal. I get to say thank you and acknowledge that I agree with Trustee Ratajewski this time around. At the last meeting, I missed a key thank you, which I'd like to correct now. I missed mentioning the new village website because I was privy to some of that design before I was even elected, as I'd chaired the Technology Commission. I suppose I grew so accustomed to keeping a lot of that fun stuff quiet for a while as we worked out the details. If you haven't been to our village website, it's at orlandpark.org. I'd encourage you to go there. It's been has a completely new look. I believe that we're going to see that this is going to be leveraged by other communities as a new standard to follow. It takes time to design, build, and convert a new website. I know that from my own work. And the driving force behind all of this was our communication and marketing director, Nabiha Zagar. Beyond the website, Nabiha also drives all of our online and social media presence over multiple accounts for our village. I don't believe I've seen an occasion where Nabiha wasn't at a village event that I attended, and there are a lot of events in this busy village. So if you've seen and shared a Wanted Wednesday video from the police department, Nabiha was behind that, started that program. Although I have to ask, do you come up with all those puns yourself? And then our promotional materials have also been improved this past year with an innovative leap using drone-based videos. We've come quite a ways from the days where you had to hold a phone in order to stream our village board meetings here. So Nabiha, thank you. Not just for the new website, but for all you do to keep our residents informed. I know firsthand the passion that you have for our village, but even if I did not, your work clearly demonstrates that daily, and we're lucky to have you here. Thank you.
Trustee Healy.
Mr. Mayor, at the end of the summer, I reflected on how much work the parks have done over the summer with the markets in the park, the concerts, the movies, and just the normal the activities of the park district. And all these things were done by just a great staff of people. I mean, and volunteers who helped out in many ways. I have to say to myself, thank God I live in Orland Park. And I look at the professionalism of the staff after going through the audit things this summer, and but watching what the HR staff, the development staff, the computer staff, and all the other people here at the village, I seeing how they operate, I just have to say to myself, thank God I live in Orland Park. Attending the September 11th commemoration, again, I say thank God I live in Orland Park. After listening to Mayor Pekau, Joel Van Essen, and Reverend Mike Lee speak, very great speeches and all that, and at the end, all I could say was, thank God I live in Orland Park. Looking at the crime statistics for Cook County, and which we've already talked about the distressing state's attorney that we have, I say to myself, thank God I live in Orland Park. And looking at the crime statistics is a reminder how safe we are. And I have to say thanks to the police, and thank God I live in Orland Park. Back to you.
Thank you. So I too would like to welcome our new staff, and Leo, sorry for everyone else, Leo gets all the attention, that's the way it works. And Zeus is happy to entertain him anytime for any dog activities that he needs. I also want to thank staff for all the hard work that they put together for the 9/11 event, and also thank the Fire Protection District for their participation as well. The speeches were great, and it was a phenomenal event. As well, Brewfest. Thank you to the whole entire staff for all of the marketing that was done by Nabia, for all of the work that was done by Public Works to get everything ready, for all of the volunteers, including mostly the Parks and Rec staff that made the event, fantastic. So it was a great new venue. It's the second time we've done it, and this was a much better venue than before, and more. I think we had 150 more tickets this time than the last. Last time it was about the same, but a lot more room, and we could probably have the room to go at 50% higher at least than what we did. So it was a great event. I would also like to congratulate the Healy family. They have a nephew that won an Emmy last night. So congratulations. We also talked today about our crime stats. Police are doing a phenomenal job, and we continue to drive our crime lower and lower, and that's because of how proactive we are. Also, our master parks plan, a long time in coming to get these parks addressed: Centennial Park West, Schuessler Park, and the remaining part of John Humphrey. I know we jumped on John Humphrey right out of the gate because it was clearly it was not usable for its original intended purpose. So great that we're doing that, and I love to see all of the community engagement that we're doing as part of that as well. So this is truly going to be it's going to be a multi-year process to construct everything, but it's going to be nice to have a plan for how we're going to get there. Lastly, I received an email today, actually, from a gentleman named Bill Moskal, who I had the pleasure of playing golf with once in a match against Olympia Fields. And he was a former Air Force veteran. Well, he had the opportunity to do the honor flight recently. And he made sure that I knew all the Orland Park residents that got an opportunity to go on to the honor flight. So I'm going to read those names here: Jim Blashik, Dan Braglia, Robert Kokanig, Jack Sasso, Ron Kupchik, and Robert Zajac. They all got the opportunity to do the honor flight, and I know it was a great day. I've talked to at least one of them, and they had a phenomenal time. And it's a long day for folks to go. They leave at like 3:30 in the morning to get to the airport, and then they don't get home until late at night. So it's a very long day. They fly out to, in our case, where they fly out to D.C. They get to see the memorials at D.C., Dulles Air Museum, meet a bunch of people, and then they fly back. So it's a very long day for them, but something that they all truly treasure. So congratulations to all of them, and thank you for Honor Flight for all they do. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Compass.
I move to go into executive session for A, the approval of minutes, B, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the village, C, pending litigation against, affecting, or on behalf of the village, or when found by the board that such action is probable or imminent.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Milani.
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski.
Aye.
Mayor Pekau.
Aye.